Dobar dan I dobrodošli. Sit down and relax as we are about to read some webtoons and manga. I recommend purchasing the official scans or translations and reading along with those open as well, for a better reading experience and to support the creators behind the works that I react to in my streams. Links are in the description. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon, so subscribe to or follow some European chick if you want to read along and suggest what to read next. Now without further ado, let's read.
Fujimoto Tatsuki interviews. Yes, so as I said, with each series that we end on this channel, in this case, Chainsaw Man, but also Look Back and Goodbye 80, we're reading, and because I've already read Fire Punch, we're now finishing the series off with interviews with the creator of these series. Before I reread Fire Punch on stream, but you know it's a reread, so it's gonna be a different experience than me just reacting to new material. And hi everyone. The chat, I can see it and I will read the chat, but it's not on screen, like for the viewers of this video, unfortunately. So, Epi was an angel and compiled all interviews in a file that's, according to him, still not even done. But there's already so much, like, I'm overwhelmed. Look at this. And these are, wow, my screen is, look at how dirty it is. Smeared my fingers all over it. But anyway, oh my god. Look. There's just too many interviews, god damn it. But, and he even put, oh, Epi, I didn't even notice that for the first one. You even put, a summary of what's happening in the interview. Fujimoto was invited to talk for the Akita City Cultural Creation Center, where he reflects on his life growing up in the countryside. There's like 3% work left, but yeah, I spent a long time on this. Yeah, Epi, thank you so much for the efforts. As I said, I need Epi more than I need myself on this channel. You have no idea. This channel would not exist without Epi. Best manager ever. And where is the previous broadcast about raising the level alone? Raising the level alone. Wait, what? Solo leveling. You mean solo leveling? It's my playlist. Look at it there. Now this is about Fujimoto. Now I think the one about Akita I would do later. Let's first, and Samura, creator of Blade of the Immortal, French magazine interview. Interview. Okay, let's go by date. This one is from 2017. But why is this from 2017? Fujimoto, because, yeah, okay, his other one-shots were being released then too. I'm sorry, I forgot that he released works before Chainsaw Man. Like Fire Punch came first, that was already out in 2017. I'm so dumb. Let's read that one first. Epi, you're still working on the file right now, I can see it. 9 page. Oh, you're writing the page number right now. That is so helpful. And the broadcast starts processing after the live is over. It should be available on this link. Oh, okay. And hi everyone. As I said, you can't see yourself on the screen chat, but I can, and that's the important thing. All right, let us start with the first one, with Samura Hiroaki, creator of Blade of Immortal Sword. Never heard of that. Yes. Can you open it? Please. Thank you. I will link all the interviews in the order that I read them in the description of the YouTube video stream. Oh, the image is cute. Look. It's an homage. Very nice. A two-part interview published in June 2017, the same time as Volume 5 of Fire Punch. One part was published in Jump Plus, here, and the other part was published in Jump SQ. They discuss each other's manga inspirations, art advice, writing, and their careers. They also drew 2 collaborative illustrations. That was one of them that I showed right now. Fujimoto Tatsuki, author of Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man, 2018 and ongoing. Samura Hiroaki, author of Blade of the Immortal. That's what I thought. Blade of the Immortal, not Immortal Sword. Blade of the Immortal. Wow, that went on for 20 years, and then Wave listened to me, 2014 onwards. Interview in Jump Plus, Hero Part. Fujimoto. This is the first time I've had an interview with another creator. Samura Sensei, you previously had an interview with Kishimoto Sensei, the author of Naruto, didn't you? But for someone like me too, I'm just dressed like usual. I didn't even shave. Samura. You definitely have a busier schedule than me, so please don't worry about it. For this interview, I think you wanted some advice as a rookie, but to be honest, I've only written monthly serialized manga in my career, while your manga career will be much harder than mine, so I don't think I can really help, haha. Because Fujimoto was publishing weekly. That's why he's saying that. And yeah, I use blotting paper on my face so I'm not shiny anymore. But the rest of my body is shiny because of the cream. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Fujimoto? Not at all. I've had to take so many shortcuts in drawing, but you don't do that at all in Blade of the Immortal. There's so much I want to ask you. I have the volumes in my shelf, by the way. Blade of the Immortal. And also Fire Punch. I have them in my shelf. Hey, what the hell, Pochita? Sit up straight. Sit up straight. Or lie down, do whatever you want. There's so much I want to ask you, Samura Sensei. You're a legend to me. Ever since this interview was arranged, I've dreamt of it twice. Your house was in my dream too, and it was huge. He's so silly. Then again, I have dreams like this too. Haha, my house isn't actually huge though. Interviewer. This interview came about because of Fujimoto Sensei's respect for Samura Sensei, but actually Samura Sensei has also been buying copies of Fire Punch and has read previous interviews with Fujimoto Sensei, so there are previous interviews? Okay, we're gonna find those too, perhaps. Samura. Ah, yes, that's right. Fujimoto. What? You didn't have to go that far. This is so cute. Samura. I remember the first chapter of Fire Punch made a big stir on the internet. Yeah, that was insane. That was my first experience with Fire Punch too. And in the first chapter, that's not a spoiler, we're gonna read it. And it's the first chapter, it's not too much of a spoiler. In the first chapter, bro, you have a mass extinction event, you have a post-apocalyptic world, you have cannibalism, you have genocide, you have incest, and you have torture, like being burnt alive for several years. You have all of that in one chapter, in the first chapter. If that isn't a strong start, then I don't know what is. First chapter was something, yeah, and it didn't get better after that. I mean, it did get better, but I mean, it didn't like let up with the content at all as it went on. Fire Punch was a hell of a trip. It was. And it was so good. So good. Anyway. Made a big stir in the internet. So me or one of my assistants read it, and me or one of my assistants, was it you or was it your assistant? How do you not know if it was you or another person? So me or one of my assistants read it and thought it was interesting. Then I bought the first volume of Fire Punch to have my assistants read it, But I also started, why would you force your assistants to read something? Like, they're here to work. Why would you force them to read something? Like, they're there to work on Blade of the Immortal. Like, anyway, the first chapter definitely got me attached to the story, to the point of reading almost a half of the entire story in one sitting. I binged Fire Punch in 2 days too, yeah. To have assistants read it, but I also started reading it and kept buying the volume since then. Fujimoto, Samura Sensei, you really, please say anything you want. Samura, I really enjoy the manga where you can't tell what will happen next, and in Fire Punch, that developments after Togata appears aren't something you would expect in shonen manga. It's shonen? But I really like that kind of thing. It makes you go, wait, what happened to the premise? Some people like that while others think it lacks focus, but it's the same idea either way. There are a few things in Fire Punch that I myself would say, why is this here? Was this necessary? What does this mean? What's the purpose of this? But maybe on a second read, I'm gonna figure it out. Like, without any spoilers, the branch child, the branch coming out of the skull, and then the part about the moon, like people in outer space, then cloning, then the naked people. Like, it's freezing outside. Why are there suddenly naked people? And then they die. Like, where did they come from? Why are they here? What was the purpose of making them naked? Or half naked? Doesn't matter. Several things I have to agree were kind of out of pocket or out of left field, to be honest, but Togata is not one of them. Togata is one of the most important characters in Fire Punch. Some people like that, while others think it lacks focus, but it's the same idea either way. It depends on whether you enjoy the suspense of not knowing what will happen next, or if you want a more stable foundation. I don't know about other people, but I like it, and on top of that, everything does come together around Volume 4 into a solid direction. Yeah. Fujimoto, wow, that makes me so happy. I've always wanted to write a manga that's like a Korean movie. He loves them too. I told you all! Fujimoto and I, we're the same fucking person. I bet he loves Park Chan-wook's movies. I bet you. He knows what good movies are. I've been saying this. Korean movies. Watch that shit. They're really good at that. Anyway. There's this movie called The Chaser. I haven't watched that one yet. Where the main character chases after the villain. But 30 minutes into the movie, he catches him. This is supposed to happen at the end of the movie. So you keep wondering what will happen next. A lot of people say that in Korean movies, they can't tell what the director is thinking. But actually, if you watch until the end, you'll get it. I wanted to make something like that. He is absolutely right. Do you read other books except manga? No. Webtoons, yeah. Webtoons. Webtoons and manga, and that's what I read on this channel. Nothing else. No light novels. Nothing else. But wow, I'm so happy to hear you talk about Fire Punch, haha. It feels weird coming from an author I've read since I was a student. It's like I'm going to blank out. Calm down. Samura, I think there are plenty of pro authors who read Fire Punch. Editor, the authors whose comments went on Fire Punch's paper bans: Ishida Sui Sensei, Murata Yusuke Sensei, one Sensei. All read it. That is an honor. That's so cool. Japanese books have an obi around the bottom that advertises the book. I can show you what they mean, actually. I'll be back in a second. I took a random manga that I know is Japanese and that has this obi, but here, this bottom part, that's what they're talking about. I'm gonna bring this back and then I'm gonna continue reading. Sorry about this interlude here. Nice, I see you're a woman of culture. It's rare that I just read comics on my streams. That's what makes me a woman of culture, but thank you, I'll take the compliment anyway. Ishidasui, so that's what was on the obi of volume 2. Ishidasui, Fujimoto-kun had better realize soon that he's much crazier than he thinks he is. I think he knows, but yeah. That's what Ishidasui, the author of Tokyo Ghoul, said. Fujimoto, I'm so grateful to everyone. Samura. It's great that it got popular on the internet. When you read it, it feels like the beginning of something amazing. And they were right. Fujimoto? Not at all. It's just a product of the modern age. Samura Sensei, have you watched the live-action film of Blade of the Immortal? Are they gonna bash the movie now? Samura, I saw the advanced screening. There were so many plans to adapt Blade of the Immortal as a film in the past, but they all fell through. So I thought it was meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. Then out of the blue, they told me they were going to make a movie with Kimura Takuya-san as the lead and to please look over the script, and that there wasn't any time to mail it. So they were going to send it by motorcycle. It was the first I'd heard about it. So I was surprised that they were in such a hurry. Apparently they rushed the decision through. So he didn't say anything about the movie itself, like the content, the quality, and whatever. It was just like, yeah, they were in a rush. They rushed everything. They mailed me, and then they didn't mail me the script. They just brought it to me. And that's it. That's what he said about the movie. I thought something was smeared on my forehead. That's just my hair. Oh, so that's what happened. That's really something. What did you think after watching it? He's doubling down. Fujimoto. Read the room. He doesn't want to bash the movie. He doesn't want to bash it in public. Let's see what Samura says. Samura. The action scenes were 1.5 times longer than what I pictured. And Kimura Takuya-san put in a lot of effort. Well, I was watching a film adaptation of my manga, and in particular something I wrote when I was young, where I came up with the lines 20 years ago. Instead of the quality of the movie, I was thinking that nowadays I wouldn't write something like that. I was too busy being embarrassed, so instead of having complaints for director Miike, I was just impressed that he did such a good job. If someone who didn't read the manga watched the movie and thought it wasn't good, I'd want them to read the manga. To show them that it came straight from there. Haha. They're so good with words. They can bash things without bashing them, you know? I need to learn that too. Maybe I'd have a lot less man-children come to my streams and vomit in the comment section and cry and piss themselves. If I was as eloquent and as savvy with my words as these Japanese people are. That was very thoughtful answer to the question. I haven't watched the movie or read the manga. I can guess the manga is really good. How's the movie? No idea. But I know that Japanese live-action adaptations suck. They just do. The only live-action adaptation of a manga that was made in Japan with Japanese people, but it was a Warner Brothers movie, that was Rurouni Kenshin, the trilogy. That was good, in my opinion. I hadn't read the manga, And I watched those movies and I thought they were good. Like, genuinely good movies. That's the only live action adaptation of a manga that I can put a seal of approval on. But everything else, is, especially if it's produced in Japan, like, you think Americans suck? Have you ever seen Japanese live action adaptations? It's insane. It's so bad. So I just knew he would have to bash it, because I'm already expecting it to be bad and bashable. So that's why I'm seeing it. I haven't watched the movie. And I do not plan on watching it because I don't want to waste my time on something. I just live life assuming I have better taste than everyone, so people getting mad at my opinions never phases me. Same! In my opinion, a pretty good live adaptation from a manga is Alice in Borderland. They air in Netflix and have a season 2 coming soon this year. Okay, I didn't know. But that's a live action series, right? It's a drama. It has episodes, right? I'd have to watch that. But I mean movie adaptations. When it comes to dramas, especially if they're done by Koreans, and they're adaptations of comics, then they're done well. I have no idea if Alice in Borderland is American or Japanese, but if it was done by Koreans, I bet it would be good. Because for some reason, they're the only ones that can make good adaptations. Take, even Oldboy was like an adaptation. Not a real adaptation, but it was inspired by the manga called Oldboy. But it went into a different direction. And now everyone, when they hear Oldboy, they think of the movie. They don't think of the manga, because the movie is just so fucking good. Anyway. Especially the Death Note one. Oh yeah. Have you seen the Speed Racer or Battle Angel Alita movies? Nope. Those were actually pretty good movies, especially Speed Racer. No idea. Yeah, usually series is much better than movies, yeah, because they can have much more control in pacing and such. Also, Alice in Borderland is fully Japanese. Well, thank God they make something. Anyway, I've had trouble being able to articulate myself in a way when I critique things, so that doesn't make me sound arrogant. Or I'm like being rude, needlessly. I mostly agree with you on K-dramas, except Sweet Home used Imagine Dragons. Yeah, that I hated that. But otherwise, I liked Sweet Home. It wasn't great. It wasn't fantastic, but it was good. Like, so good I watched it twice. Because I like monsters. I just like that. But yeah, it was good. Except the music, I didn't like that. They reused the same tracks over and over again. I don't know why they did that, but they did it. Anyway, let's go back to the interview. Fujimoto, there's so much more I want to ask. I don't even want this interview to be published. The fuck do you want to ask him? Samura Sensei. How big is yours? No, I'm sorry. This is so disrespectful. I'm just, it's because we talked about Eden's dick on the other stream before that one. And we were talking about, those private things being shown to the public. That's not a good thing. And now he's about, like, making interview questions public. Anyway. Huh? The interviewer said that, huh? The editor, so you want to have it all to yourself, haha. Fujimoto, or else everyone would find out how to draw better. Fujimoto, now the socialist in me is about to smack you on. Fujimoto gatekeeping the interview, yeah. He wants to ask him about art tips, but only wants him to get the art tips. You know what? If I got help from everything that I studied or that I learned, I would always, if I were to share it, I would share it for free to everyone. Because not everyone has the same chances that I have. Not everyone has so much time as I do, or so much I mean, money here in Austria, education is free in Austria, but still, people in other places don't have money for education or whatever. I would make it accessible for free, which is why I think YouTube is a great platform for that. You can learn a lot. Like, there's a lot of, maybe I'm gonna make a Twitter thread about all the educational YouTube channels you can find. Like, there's biology, there's chemistry, there's so much. Like, so many YouTube channels that actually teach you academic things, yes, but also practical things. It's very useful, and I would never like hog it just for myself. But I'm taking this too seriously. I went on another ramble. That was a tangent. That was not directed at Fujimoto and saying like, oh, he wants to just keep everything to himself. I mean, he did say that, but he said it as a joke. He wanted to feel special because Samura Sensei to him is special too, and he wanted to have like a special private exchange here. Everyone laughed at that, what Fujimoto said. Aria, hi Aria, by the way. Hey, my favorite background noise stream is back. Missed you, Elda. Oh, that is so sweet. I missed you all too. What interview are we reading now? The source link in the description is still solo leveling. What? It is solo leveling, but it shouldn't be. I changed it now. Hopefully it's different, but the interview links are gonna be given at the end of the stream because I have no idea which interviews I'm gonna read in which order, and I want them to be, you know, structured in the description. Fujimoto, Samura Sensei, I want to draw like you. That's not necessary. It's not necessary. Fujimoto, your art style is perfect the way it is. But if we wanna, we can compare. I have the mangas here, like by Samura and by Fujimoto. We can compare and go on another tangent too, because I think style is just something personal, like your own personal note. Both need to have skills. Both have details, but in different places. Like in a they use different techniques, of course, but details do not equal realistic art style. So even though Samura's art style is more realistic, Fujimoto's art style is still detailed. Yeah, YouTube is a great place when it comes to getting information and stuff. You can learn so many things for free, which is awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna get the manga, just a random volume, maybe one of the later ones when Samura has already warmed up. So I took Blade of the Immortal Volume 18. Looks like this. And Look Back. It's like this. And this is just a little annoying, so I'm gonna put it away for now. As I said, there is still details. And there's still structure. In all of the panels. And now when this is also a lot thicker, but this is a one-shot. It's only a little over 100 pages long. This is around 200 pages. Let me just pick a... Okay, where you can see more details. Just... There you go. Wait, so this was a good one. Because it's very dynamic. Ah, focus, bitch! This is what I mean. Swear to God. There we go. Good classes in the morning. I will see you next time. Peace. Yes, have a nice day. I really want to buy Fujimoto's manga, but sadly there is no translation for where I'm at. So the price for his manga is much more expensive, because imported. Oh, shit. Well, I think the best places to live to have quick releases and good translations. It's France. Mangas look so good. Yeah. And I think both look good, but in their own way. They're still, I would even say, like the way faces are drawn, they're still not realistic. Like they're still a little abstract because it is comic style, but they're still like there's not exaggerated features. Exaggerated features like usually in manga. Which one can I take as an example? Like huge eyes, big mouths, and so on. It's still all anatomically correct. Like it is minimalistic on the features and the shading and so on, but it is still real looking, even when abstract, if that makes any fucking sense. Here, you also don't have exaggerated features. Like, look, the eyes aren't overly huge. The mouth here, there is a little, but it doesn't matter. You know, this is more on the realism side, but this is still detailed and using actual proportions and realistic depictions, and taking every chapter of what you need to learn when you learn art. It's there, like proportions, direction, and so on and so forth. Let's go back. Time to learn French and move there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Fujimoto said, Samura Sensei, I want to draw like you, so I think that means I should aspire to the artists that you like. What can I do to become you? Don't do that. Samura, haha, there are a lot of manga artists that I like, but up through middle school, it was Tezuka Osamu Sensei, Astro Boy. Takashi Rumiko Sensei, we know her, classic Nama Half. And Fujiko Fujio Sensei, Doraemon. In high school, I read Akira. Yes! By Otomo Katsuhiro. Yes! Akira is, I think, one of the most perfect manga out there, if not the most complete, perfect, just flawless manga out there. When it comes to art style, when it comes to everything. The story and the characters, like everything, the way the story was constructed is just perfect in my opinion. Yay, streams are back. It's way too fucking hot today. I would have no idea because my window is closed and I have this protective foil on my window so the UV rays can't come in. So I'm perfectly cool here in my room. But I know your room, Akaketsugami, and like your apartment, I bet it's super stuffy there. I feel sorry for you. But Akira, do you prefer the movie or the manga? The manga. The manga all the way. The movie is like, is a fart in the wind compared to the manga. I always say this when I talk about the manga Akira, I mean the manga Akira. I do not necessarily like the movie. Really, like from the technical aspects, the movie was a pioneer in this industry and in the genre, right? It's still good for that time, and if you know all the cultural and historical context of the movie, then it's fucking awesome. But if you don't have any clue, you're, let's say, born in the 2000s, you watch Akira, you're gonna have no idea what the fuck is going on and why it is considered good. It would seem generic. Whereas the manga is just on a whole nother level. It's so good. So damn good. And it's just 6 volumes. People, go read it. The hell is wrong with you? Go read Akira. God damn. But I'm also, if you are gonna read it, I'm gonna have to link the apocalypticism or something like that by a YouTube channel whose name I forgot in the chat. But I can't do that because I forgot the channel name. Did the movie take all of the story? No. The movie took the first volume, and that is it. And then made its own ending. But that ending of the movie, because the movie was made while the manga was still ongoing. Like, I think there were only 2 volumes out of Akira at the time when the movie was made. And Otomo directed the movie too. So the ending of the movie Akira inspired the ending of the manga in Akira. But it just adapted the first volume. That is it. And there are 6 volumes. Did the movie take all of the story from the manga? To perfect? Wait, no. Or were there some plot changes and stuff? It was only 1 volume. I'm going to watch the movie first and read the manga. Don't, because I would say don't watch the movie if you haven't watched it. If you have watched it, you've seen a classic, but the thing that the movie does that I don't really like for the manga, like if you want to get into the manga too, is the movie depicts only like one character as the main character. And like one antagonist. Like there is one protagonist, one antagonist, and they were childhood friends. That's the movie. But the manga is so different. There is no main character. There is no main antagonist. There's just different people doing different things, and you watch them all do their stuff. There is no main character in Akira. And I don't like the people who come from the movie. They're like reading the manga and like, oh, when is the protagonist gonna come back? There is no protagonist. So, anyway, if you can keep that in mind, yeah, just watch the movie. But I would say read the manga first and then watch the movie. Like, I know both were like simultaneously, both are adaptations of each other, if that makes any fucking sense. Like, the movie is the first volume of the manga, but the manga is also the ending of the movie, like the second half of the movie. Like, not the second half, but like parts, bits and pieces of the movie. Anyway, let's read the interview. In high school, I read Akira by Otomo Katsuhiro Sensei and thought he must be an incredible person. Yes. There's also Yasuhiko Yoshikazu Sensei, character designer for early Gundam. They're both such good artists. Yasuhiko Yoshikazu Sensei is good at drawing hands, so that made me want to get good at drawing hands. Between classes, I would always draw my hands in my notebooks, so I was a creepy high schooler. It's kind of cute. Okay, I'm gonna read the manga first then. I've been really interested in the story for a while. Yes, do that. Fujimoto, I'll do that too from now on. Just draw his hand. Samura, haha. When I got to college, I read 2001 Nights by Hoshino, I have never heard of that. Hoshino Yukinobu Sensei. A series of short stories about space. It's amazing how detailed it was. There is no way that could have been serialized weekly. Haha. These haha interjections. They make my day. And then when I went to art school, I was in the manga research club, and for better or worse, manga clubs are at art school have a lot of self-conscious people. They would read Garo, alternative manga magazine, instead of weekly manga magazines and so on. That's how I came across manga by niche authors and found out there are a lot of interesting people out there. Then after I graduated and Blade of the Immortal got serialized, I bought a volume of manga by Ichinoseki Hideaki Sensei. I fucking can't read. Nobody had told me about it, and I didn't hear about it anywhere. I just happened to buy it at the bookstore. I was shocked that there was a woman who drew such realistic manga. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? If I had read it before being serialized, I think I would have been too embarrassed to finish the storyboards for Blade of the Immortal. This is the detailed, realistic, fucking hell manga that he was talking about by a woman. Who would have thought that women can do that? I thought they were good with words, these Japanese people, but when it comes to women, they still don't know how to act, to be quite honest. Also want to mention, I think there's something with your mic. Your voice kind of sounds chipped. Not sure how to say it. It's not that major, but it is kind of distracting. Chipped? How so? Maybe it's this? I have no idea what you mean. But I'm gonna watch it back and then see what you mean. Thanks for telling me. Fujimoto, I know what you mean, that feeling of, what if I had read this before being serialized? I read the first volume of Wave Listen to Me when I was writing the first chapter of Fire Punch. Samura, there are plenty of authors with better art than me, so if you look at a good artist's works and try drawing it, you can pick up their quirks and end up drawing like them, and that is true. But I wouldn't recommend it. And also, realistic doesn't mean good art. Like, art is really subjective. Or maybe it's me. Let me check real quick. Okay. Maybe it's your speakers. Okay, sounds fine to me. Okay. Fujimoto, no, I don't think so. If there is a secret to drawing better, please tell me. Bro, you graduated from a fine art school. What the hell are you talking about, Fujimoto? The hell? Western style painting. He probably meant detailed art, yeah. Samura, what I mean by good art is, for example, there is Takano Fumiko sensei. I think she's the manga artist with the best art in Japan. She's really good at conveying space. I think male artists tend to draw everything in accurate perspective, but in Takano sensei's manga, the vanishing point for the background doesn't really match up. But you can still sense the space. In other words, conveying a sense of space isn't the same thing as drawing the perspective accurately. You can also shift things to look better. Anyway. And hello, welcome, everyone. I also do that when drawing the horizon, for example. Say I'm drawing the ocean and there's a dock. If I drew the dock in perspective, then its edges would meet at the horizon. But I would purposefully make the horizon higher than that. And then the ocean would seem bigger or something like that. I think Takano sensei does that with her drawings without thinking about it. Besides that, Takano sensei's manga have a vivid sense of life. It makes you go, oh, that kind of pose, like the pose you would make after going home, saying, I'm home. And then taking the mandarin oranges on the kotatsu and peeling them while looking at flyers. And then you spread out your favorite book on the floor and read it. She's great at drawing mannerisms like that. Takano sensei's drawings have a few lines, and they can express more than drawings from life. Good. So he agrees with me. Detail doesn't mean good. There's other types of things you need to take into account when you draw. Oh, sorry, it was my phone speaker that was messing up a bit. Sorry if it got you worried for a second. Don't worry. It sounds like Samura interview with Fujimoto simping on him on the side. Yeah, right? That's why I was kind of thinking, should we read that or not? But Fujimoto saying, women are more perceptive, aren't they? And then Samura saying, they might be better at remembering domestic scenes. Okay. Every time I think, oh, okay, I'm maybe misunderstood. Oh, these men, I swear to God. I swear to God. What are women? They know home, they know stove, they know oven, they know cleaning, they know laundry. Shit. Oh no. Many think good drawings are about being true to life or the composition of action and other technical skills. Women lack those entirely. Well, that is pretty difficult too. But even if I think that's what's good, being able to pull it off is another question. Yeah, lots of mangakas are shut-ins and don't really get to interact with people. Well said, well said. And Fujimoto saying to that, no, I think you do pull it off, Samura Sensei. That reminds me, in this corner of the world, is pretty popular these days. I think in Kono Fumio Sensei, the author, draws really sexy girls, especially their legs. I realized it's because they have expressive legs. They're short like hobbits, but they have a strong presence and sense of reality. That's because of their mannerisms. Also, when I was watching a skit by Banana Man-san, comedy duo, even in that short span of time, it really felt like their characters were alive. Some characters would touch their noses or stamp their feet. And those gestures gave the characters depth. I think artists who can convey that are really good. They're observative. He called this sexy. That's like, hello. It's like Snoopy. The hell? Fujimoto, what the fuck is wrong with you? I love him. Samura, when you have many... How long is this? This is fucking long. This is very long, this interview. Oh my god, this is super long. Oh my god. This is very long. Samura, when you have many characters, you can give them different ways of talking or verbal tics to distinguish them. I'll have to... How can I speed this up? The screen is orange. Yeah, no. If he says it's sexy, I'd say it's sexy. Stop it. Verbal tics to distinguish them, that has its advantages, but that's not what actually sets people apart. It's the things someone always says, the gestures, what they tend to reply with when they get asked the same question. I think that's what's important, true. It's something I think I should do, but I have no idea if I actually succeed. That's my ideal, and I always wish I could spend time on that, but I'm always short on time until finally I'm finished, haha. Fujimoto, I'm exactly the same. I want to make the background characters expressive, but they end up just standing stiffly. I never have the time. Samura, you have to get your assistants to help you with that. What I do when I want to draw background characters or crowds is I tell one of my assistants, you can do it in your own style, but draw this crowd with natural, relaxed poses. And then I go over my assistant's pencil drawings in pen. It takes time to do rough sketches, but it takes guts to just go freehand, so even a vague idea helps. When I change it to my style and pen it, it actually works. I think that's a good way to add variety to a crowd scene. Fujimoto, so even if you just pen part of it, it still comes together. That's seriously useful. Also, Samura Sensei, I really can't tell if your backgrounds are traced or not. Is there some way to not make them look traced? Is it just about the composition? Samura. This is just Fujimoto getting art tips from Samura. Do I really want that? Let's open another. This is super long. We're gonna sit here for 2 hours just for this interview. You know what? You can read it. I'm gonna link it. You can finish reading it on your own. But I'm gonna go to the next one. Approximately 1 page. The Akita interview. And the Samura interview is approximately 15 pages. Wish I had seen that before. Yeah, that's too much. Should we read the Akita interview first? But there is no translation. I mean, it can auto-translate to English. So this is auto-translated into English by, I guess, Google Translate. I don't mind traced backgrounds. They look good, for example, in Pum Pum, but I have more respect to those who actually create their own backgrounds. Okay. Memories of childhood. We asked people who chose to leave Akita where they were born and raised to write their memories of their childhood. How did the climate of Akita cultivate that sensibility, and what kind of place is Akita again? We also asked what to expect from the Akita City Cultural Creation Center. And now Fujimoto answering that. What I learned from my hometown. Fujimoto Tatsuki, manga artist. I grew up in Nikaho City, Akita Prefecture. The rice fields continue to the depths of the horizon. This is auto-translated again. And it is a countryside where ants naturally walk on the tatami mats of the house. Watching Ghibli animation conveys the greatness and horror of nature. However, that nature was common in my childhood, so I lived with a vague boundary between nature and non-nature. Beetles and stag beetles sometimes stick to the vending machines at night, so I used to go pick them up with my friends. The vending machine at that time had the same recognition as the trees growing in the mountains. No idea what the fuck that means, but as an adult, listening to books and someone's story changes the way we see nature. Listening to books. Got it. But I know what he means. Changes the way we see nature. I found that all the trees I saw in Nikaho were probably plantations. It was made in the city, such as a small river that runs beside the rice field, and the mountains where we went to collect beetles are said to be maintained by the manager 2 or 3 times a month. I mean, is this live or a replay? Sorry about it. It's live. This is live. I can see Fujimoto going back to read this interview like a student looking back through notes or studying. Some of these things could be reflected in the background of Look Back. The backgrounds from Look Back were so beautiful. Yeah, agreed. Everything I perceived as natural was unnatural with human intervention. There's very few untouched places in the world. And, but that's not a bad thing. For example, we have some, what are they called? People who take care of a forest by basically hunting. Okay, bananas. Hey, how are you? Are you single? Nice nipple. Can I have your number? I don't think you can see my nipple, but thank you. I know you can ban me. You can't have my number, but you can have my thank you. There you go. Bane, have you read Homunculus? Yes, I have. He puts his ear upon the manga pages and listens. Now you can't have my number. Cannot have my number. Anyway, have you read Homunculus? Yes, I have. I read it before I read Akira, which was in 2017, I think. Shamo, no, not yet. Not yet. But anyway, anyway, these people, they, for example, not just predator, because we don't have them in our forests here. We have some wolf sightings here, some bear sightings here. They're much more common in Slovenia, which is just a half an hour drive from my town here in Austria. But you also have to, not you, these people who take care of the forest, they also have to keep the population of deer at bay so they wouldn't, eat too much of the nature and disrupt the cycle, because they don't have natural predators here in Austria. So they need to keep the population at bay, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And it's not natural. But anyway, everything I perceived as natural was unnatural with human intervention. At that time, I think the ambiguity between nature and non-nature was the right feeling. I found some depictions of similar feelings in Yokohama, Kaidashi Kiko by Hitoshi Ashinano Jizo, that has been assimilated with plants over a long period of time in the main story. Jizo are basically these statue. How do I explain that? Google it. But they're especially found on like roads or paths in forests and so on. So he's talking about how they are overgrown with moss or whatever. Something like that comes out. Perhaps the Jizo is like a robot made by an old man, but from the perspective of today's people, the boundary between nature and non-nature is thinning. A character named Kokone, the hero's best friend, is also in the works, interacting with the local people, becoming familiar with the town, and becoming more human. Cute. If you're not conscious of it, you will recognize that what you are familiar with in your childhood is natural, and everything after that is unnatural. And unnatural. What does that mean? I think it's unnatural that I'm not so addicted to new genres of music as an adult. I learned from Nikaho City, Akita Prefecture, that it is okay to have ambiguous boundaries. And that way, I think the new things will always be interesting. I feel like it's a bit of a hug, but please forgive me because I'm not familiar with the text. I have no idea what the hell that means. But nice interview. Nice insight. What to expect from Akita City Cultural Creation Center? I want you to put a lot of manga. Okay. He wants them to put manga at this council thing. French magazine interview early 2020. Oh yeah, by the way, you remind me of Faye Valentine with your look today. Oh. Because the cleavage is showing, but the boobs are missing. There's too much. Less than half a page. Less than half a page. 2 lines. Approximately 2 pages. Approximately 53 pages with images. But that's the Shonen Jump Festa panel with Nin Shihei. Fuck should I do now? Let me see what I can do. Let's read 2020 interviews and then 2021 and 2022 interviews next time. Yeah, but there was images. Seriously, so many pages of interview. As I said, yeah, but there's also images. So I guess this interview stream is gonna be 2 streams. Because this is just too much for 1 stream. This man, compare that with Miura Kentaro interviews. We have like 2, 3 maybe. Over like 30 years. That man did not communicate with his fans at all. He did not want to talk to any of us. He did not want to communicate with anyone. But Fujimoto has so many interviews already. Now, this is great because he, as I said, he's keeping in touch with his fandom and other people in the industry, which is what Miura didn't do. I mean, I don't know about the industry part, but Miura didn't talk to the fans at all. Not at all. People were like, oh, when is he going to come back from hiatus? What is he doing? We don't know. He's not talking to us. We don't know anything. So I think I prefer Miura's approach. I don't. I prefer Fujimoto's approach. I don't like Miura's approach at all. Because it was so easy to get frustrated at him. Like, I was always frustrated, like, saying he owes the fans who are basically feeding him to continue the story, or to at least tell them why he's not continuing the story, or canceling it at least, so he can work on other projects and not work on other projects before finishing Berserk. And others like, oh no, others were like, no, Miura doesn't owe his fans anything. He can do whatever he wants. Yeah, but he's only there because of the fans, you know? They're buying his stuff. They're still supporting him. So at least a little communication would help, you know? There's one... I'm not a fan of Stephen King's writing because I don't like his style. But everyone knows he's a bestseller author. And he's basically shitting out books year after year. And he started one series, a real passion project. What's it called in English again? The Dark Tower? Was it that? I have the books here, but... And also, I need to return them. But anyway, he started the series, but then put it on hiatus, right? Then he was involved in an accident where he almost lost his life. And that made him realize that he had an obligation to fulfill to his readers, because readers are basically living their entire lives. You know how long 30 years are. They are dying in between. Like, they can die a million times over in those 30 years. They're getting a career, they're building a family, they're getting sick, they're dying in those 30 years. And to not finish the story that made you who you are today, you know, promising the reader something but not upholding that promise, that's what Stephen King said, that felt really wrong to him. So that accident where he almost died made him realize he had to finish this. And he did finish the series. And I'm proud of him for that. And I agree with him on that. So, it's not they owe us, but they set up a promise, and if they're not fulfilling it and not communicating with us at all to give an explanation or anything, just any information, it feels wrong. It doesn't feel right. Like just saying, hey, let's meet up tomorrow at 10 a.m. and then they never show up. And you can't even reach them. Like, that type of promise, you know? Like, that would be an equivalent, perhaps. It's not that it's bad that maybe they have something going on in their life that is more important to them. Like, at least tell us, you know? That's what I mean. So, I prefer Fujimoto's approach to at least, you know, talk to the fans, if not directly to them, at least communicating with them through interviews. What are you saying? I'm looking at the chat now. I mean, I only care for the manga, not the author. Most of the times, mangaka are odd people, yeah. But I agree that he should have been more clear with his Berserk status. Yeah, see. And Epi saying there are, but you can also choose to be a nice one. Fujimoto, for example, even Vinland Saga, Inoue too. Nice mangaka is what you mean, Epi, right? However, the guy sells art and you buy it. Yeah. Lucas Laird saying, I need to get going as I'll need sleep because I'll have to go to work today, but enjoy the rest of the stream and have a good day. Also on that, I like not having too many interviews, but I think I have no idea what you're saying, but you go sleep, have a good night. Thank you for coming. Epps Dark Tower. Take care, Lucas. Yeah. More up to their personality. Okay. That's as far as the basic relationship with the author-fan goes, and Miura was at the base. And Berserk and Miura was a peculiar case. I think Miura, after a while, hated Berserk. I think so too. Like, in some way. Just like Inoue. In some way. Like, it was still part of their heart and identity, but they still had a chip on their shoulder towards that work. And this is why it was like this. Also, Miura was an old school mangaka, and I guess communication with fans was different back then. Back then, he died last year. So he was working until last year. And he was using a tablet and so on. I think technology and like learning new communication forms and so on, and technology is not an issue for him. Like, he knows what phones are. And what Twitter is, probably. I don't know. I don't think that's an issue. Communication with fans was different back then. But you also have more interviews with mangaka from the same period as him, so I still don't see it. New era mangakas have the social media on their arsenal. Old school mangakas had hard time to adapt to this new era communication. No, I meant back when he started. Yeah, when he started, he gave the most interviews. And then later on, nothing came. Anyway, I feel bad whenever someone hated something they created, even though it's dope as fuck, like Miki Matsubahara. No idea. Let's go back to the interviews. We're gonna start with the French magazine interview. It's 9 pages. But we're gonna read that now. We're gonna go by years. Like a year of when they were published. It's a PDF. Hello. But it says 0 pages out of 0. I guess I can't read that. Is that normal? It's available links are Reddit post or PDF. Let's go with the PDF thing. Okay, it's loading now. Okay, we got it. 9 pages. So yeah, it's probably gonna be 2 streams. These are 9 pages full of text, like full text. There's only 1 image. It's just full text. Okay, 2 images. Please make it 3. Yeah, okay, 3 images. It's gonna be around 6 pages, but it's okay. Let's read it now. Fujimoto Tatsuki, push it to the limit. I need to sip of water when we start this one. Huge sip, but it was necessary. All right. Hello, can I zoom in? No, can I zoom in? Okay, there we go. But, oh my god, this is so hard. Pushed into the spotlight after the outstanding Fire Punch, published in Japan in Jump Plus in France Kaze. Tatsuki Fujimoto is now among the new authors to make the headlines of Weekly Shonen Jump. Since December 2018, Fujimoto draws each week the story and adventures of Chainsaw Man, a man fused with a chainsaw. A devil hunter whose gory feats will soon splatter into French bookshops. A miracle in the schedule, the author found the time between 2 episodes to turn in to answer all of our questions. This is why I say you need to learn French or just go live in France, because you just get the most content out of mangaka and manga there. Question. You started your mangaka career in December 2011 when you submitted your short story Niwa Niwatori ga ita to a young talent contest organized by the Jump Square magazine. Today you're on the cover of Shonen Jump with Chainsaw Man. How do you contemplate on this progression and changes? Fujimoto. Let's say that the major change between the time when I drew short stories and now is a reliable income. And in my everyday life, it makes a difference, I guarantee you. Yeah, I bet. Then there is the image in mind of the mangaka I was going to become when I started manga. This image evolved a lot with time because in reality, I didn't see myself work in a weekly magazine like Jump. When I started, I saw myself more living the life of an author drawing for a monthly magazine. I hope he changes to a monthly magazine. Like, it's better for him, too. I talked about this with Akaketsugami when we met up. We were talking about a lot of Chainsaw Man topics, and I told him at the time that I wished more mangaka just published monthly. Because even if they're still bringing in the same amount of pages as they would with a weekly magazine, it's just too much to do all of that weekly. It's too much. When you see how they live and how they feel and how they don't have a life, these mangaka, I think it would be better for their mental and physical health to just publish monthly instead. And I don't even care about the fucking readers. They get what they get. If it's a monthly release, it's a monthly release. They're gonna be patient. But I understand why magazines want it weekly, because they're afraid that the excitement might wear off within a month. But if it's kept up every week, then they're gonna keep buying that and keep the revenue going. So from a business standpoint, I understand the weekly release schedule, but who the fuck cares? Just change the entire industry. Who's the most important aspect of the industry? It's the mangaka. So it would be better for the mangaka to do it monthly or bi-weekly, bi-monthly. Huh? I'm dumb, but twice a month, okay? Either once a month or twice a month. But to have more time, and free time is important because you need free time to rest your brain and hands, of course, and your spine, and get back to work and work more efficiently and bring good results. I said that in other streams too, but I think a 4-day work week or a 30-hour work week, 30 maximum 30. That would be better for everyone, for all of society. It would be so much better. We just need to fucking change it. I don't know why we don't. But it would be better. Just overall better. For everyone involved. Yes, also the businesses. So I think if readers just had no other option, if every magazine was monthly, but every magazine like published on a different day of the week, and there are a lot of magazines in Japan that publish manga, they would still have every day, they'd have something to read, you know? So it wouldn't even change that much. Just make everything monthly. Epi saying, keep the Shonen Jump Vista panel in a complete individual stream. Yes, I will do that. And some French interview. Yes. Yeah, weekly releases are brutal. Yes, exactly so. monthly would be, which is in a weird angle. Again, girl, you need to. You need to learn how to stand properly. There we go. Thanks for telling me. What else is he saying? Oh, yeah. When I started, I saw myself more living the life of an author, drawing for a monthly magazine. And if you told me that 10 years later, I would have to turn in pages every week to a publisher, I would have probably not believed you. Finally, on a technical level, I think my drawing improved. And most importantly, I draw at a faster pace. But still, it's to your health's detriment. Is being published by a magazine as prestigious as Jump putting a bigger pressure on you? Fujimoto, I belong to a generation that grew up reading One Piece and Naruto, so when Chainsaw Man, my new series, ends up in the table of contents next to Samurai 8, the last creation of Masashi Kishimoto, inevitably, I think about my legitimacy. I'm aware that what I'm presenting doesn't match exactly with the specifications of Shonen Jump. So he knows that's not a typical shonen. He knows Chainsaw Man is not a typical shonen. Doesn't match exactly the specifications of Shonen Jump. And ultimately, more than pressure, I feel the need to apologize for being here. Yes, that's it. Question. Precisely, how do you explain a manga such as Chainsaw Man, which is more aggressive than the average shonen published currently in Jump, has found its place in the magazine? Fujimoto saying, it is true that Chainsaw Man plays with the limit of classification, even if in the old Jump you could find titles which were grim and daring. I think, for example, of Hiroshima's Gen or Go Nagae's Haren Shigakuen. And that being said, I think that before the 2000s, my project would have had very little chance to pass. To be honest, I still wonder why they are letting me do such a thing. You know why. Because you need something fresh. If you have the same thing going on for 20 years, you need someone to like rile things up a little bit. It opens doors to other creators too. It's not just Fujimoto. Shiheirin, his editor, intervenes. Maybe we're in a time which seeks change. In the 80s, there were productions which showed explicit scenes, especially sexual scenes, and they didn't put much of a problem because that is what the readers expected and wanted. With Chainsaw Man, we are aware to be pushing Jump's editorial line to its very limits. Besides, in the drafting room, the title did not make consensus when the question of pre-publication came up. I think we were lucky to enforce it. And the question then, according to you, why did the content of shonen magazines get softer after the 80s? Fujimoto. I would expand that observation to animation, to all of pop culture even. We scratched spaces of artistic expression bit by bit, and creators hitting a wall decided themselves to fix limits. It is a form of very pernicious self-censorship to which we refuse to affiliate with Chainsaw Man. Good. That's why we have Quan Chi scenes. By the way, I had a dream about her and Daisy. That was bizarre. I missed the bus, and instead of running after the bus, like, I turned a girl into a Daisy. Like the bomb devil. And just bombed the place. That was so bizarre. Anyway. Question. During a crossed interview with Hiroaki Samura, we read earlier, published as a bonus in volumes 5, 6, and 7 of Fire Punch, you declared, I am unable to express everything I want to in my mangas. Has the situation evolved since then? And Fujimoto saying, when I worked on Fire Punch, I felt like a form of repulsion to draw strong, theatrical facial expressions on my characters. Yet, as you know, for a manga to be effective, this expressiveness is crucial. Today, I still look for a balance between this effectiveness, precondition, and my own graphic sensibilities. I think he has nailed it. We all praise his facial expressions, like his character's facial expressions. Do you think you have found this balance with Chainsaw Man? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Fujimoto, I am getting close to it. Shonen is a genre that imposes instant readability when it comes to emotions. This expressiveness is closely related to the characters you put into display. In Chainsaw Man, my hero is much more inclined to show emotions than the one from Fire Punch. Yeah. This makes it a bit easier. Yeah, Agni has just a stiff face a lot of the times. All of the characters, actually, not just Agni. Fire Punch shows a big technical progress in comparison to your first short stories. The bodies, their movements, the smoothness of the lines. You've clearly progressed several levels. How did you make your art evolve? Fujimoto, I have a pretty basic training, actually. I look at other mangaka's art, especially Hiroaki Samura, and try to emulate their style. I draw a lot of bodies as well, focusing on the muscles. I work on folds of clothes, that sort of thing, and isn't that what I pointed out in my streams before? Like, each fold is where it's supposed to be, and that there's a special care for the folds. Did I ever tell you what my favorite tea is? No, Nishifishi 98, you didn't. I don't know who you are. But hello. You, Shawty. That was... Okay. But I do welcome and love these, the way people, like, hit on me, these one-liners in my streams. I love them. I look forward to them the most when I look in chat. Especially, they always come from Twitch chat. It's always from that area, never from the YouTube chat. Anyway. Close that sort of thing. You said Hideki Arai as a reference in matter of breakdowns. And Fujimoto saying, more than just breakdowns, it's their reality he manages to inject into each panel that baffles me. For example, he will set up two characters talking to each other, and in the background, he can put another piece of information by drawing, for example, a truck chanting electoral messages, you know, those white vans equipped with loudspeakers and coated with political slogans going around busy roads of cities in Japan. It is with those kinds of details that Arai manages to immerse its reader in a very palpable environment. And now I really want to steal his technique. It seems that initially Fire Punch had not been chosen by the editorial board of Jump Square, to which it had been put forward. How do you explain this refusal? Fujimoto, I did hear some feedbacks pointing out the gory and grotesque aspect of the project. To pass validation, I would have to soften the scenario, and I was absolutely not ready to do that. Fire Punch therefore ended up on the online platform Jump Plus, which let me some freedom, especially on the tone, which turned out to be the best option to keep the singularity of the title. Agreed. Has anyone ever told you to lift your foot on the barbarity? No, he shouldn't. His answer is, as surprising as it may sound, I've been able to draw almost everything I wanted. At some point, I thought I would be asked to slow down a bit, but nope. I was left alone. I love that he's enjoying so much freedom with his work. I'm thinking about making some phone cases as yours, Elda. Looks cool as heck. Thank you. I made this myself too, but it's super easy. Like, I just go to Ibis Paint X, and then make the cover, like, and then I print it, and then I put it in between. See, it's printed. Like, it's paper. Which is why on the top part you can see where there's a water droplet that came in. It's smudged, and on the bottom part too, because it's paper. But it's sturdy paper, and that's why my printer still worked. So I designed this, printed it, put it in my phone case, and it worked. So yeah, do it. I would make many more and exchange them if my printer worked. But you're useless! Why are you useless now? You're not even that old. You're 2 years old. Max. Anyway. You can always go to your university and print that shit too. I did that for a lot of things. I don't have them anymore, but like, not this poster, but some other posters that I printed. At my school, I just went to the color printer and paid only 15 cents per page that was printed. So I did that. But only for two posters, I think. And it was just A4 format, which is kind of boring, but anyway. When you refused to comply to editorial constraints of Jump Square magazine, weren't you afraid that you could be sanctioned later down the line for this inflexibility? And he said, nope, I didn't, because I always had the feeling that Shueisha was very honest with their authors and that I would be supported until the end. I like their relationship. They seem to have a healthy relationship. The editors and the publisher and the mangaka. I also think that Fujimoto is lucky to have an editor who is completely on his side and working really well with him. Like, that's the feeling I get. I don't know how they're clicking, but it seems that way. That they're like a power duo. Are all series published on Jump Plus turned into physical copies? And his editor replies, it depends. For the mangas working in vertical reading, physical releases are instantly discarded. For other titles, it's on case by case. We inform the authors in advance of an editorial strategy, and we explain why they're going to be published on paper or not. Jump Plus plays the role of a laboratory for young mangaka. They can go down to work, experiment before joining traditional publication. Concerning Fire Punch, it was intended since the beginning to be released as tankobon, so they had that much faith in Fujimoto. Question: had the length of the series already been decided? Fujimoto says, yes. I knew from... that's why it's probably felt a little bit rushed in some places anyway. Yes, I knew from the get-go that I didn't want to make it too long. The same goes for Chainsaw Man. He thinks for a moment. Actually, every time I make a short story, I want to develop it beyond what was planned. In contrast, when I start a longer series, I'd rather see the end of it pretty quickly. I like that, actually. I'd rather have a complete and concise story than a drawn-out story. I don't need that, to be honest. He laughs. More seriously, I don't see the appeal in squeeze the lemon until it's dry if the scenario doesn't ask for it. Thank you. And I would feel queasy if I were embarked in a manga unacceptably long. You're a prisoner of a creation and you cannot do anything else. I can't do that. I click with this man. Fujimoto and I, we're soulmates. I'm telling you. We're soulmates. And continuing. For Fire Punch, you evoked in interviews the influence of the Korean film The Chaser by Na Hongjin. Can you tell us about it? I like its gloomy atmosphere and especially the unexpectedness of its plot. On Fire Punch, my Tanto, his editor, Lin Shihei, and I went for that inspiration as our story plays with the same idea of dramatic unpredictability. But my references in matter of cinema are not restricted to Korean cinema. Yeah, we know that. And I also like how Fujimoto said how we planned the story, how we wanted to create the story, because yes, that is true. Which is what I also complained a little bit about when I was reading the Inoue Takehiko interviews, where he was like, yeah, just for 20 years he was basically left on Vagabond alone. Like he was doing everything by himself and he didn't want to take anyone's advice on it. And I'm like, that's not how you do stories. That's not how you publish stories. You always need an editor. That's how you get the best results. I think that's also why Berserk kind of went downhill, because the Golden Age arc was just so good that the magazine, like the publishers and the editors, they were like, yeah, we're gonna let this man do whatever the fuck he wants. And they didn't even stop him when he was doing bullshit. So you shouldn't give mangaka totally free reins. They need to be given another viewpoint. Like, they need to be shown a mirror and be like, hey, do you see what the fuck you're doing? And like, I'm an outsider, I'm a professional, I'm trained in this, and I'm gonna tell you how to make it better. You're still the creator. I'm just someone who's gonna polish your work with you. We are creating this together. We're brainstorming together. We're doing this together, okay? So that's why I think editors are super important. They're just as important as the mangaka themselves. So I would never let a mangaka just do whatever the fuck they want. So I like how how Fujimoto is saying, we decided on how to do this and this. And they're really a team. It's a team. It's teamwork. It's a team effort. I know it's not that manga related, but the same thing happens with Kojima. Wait, who's that again? Who's that again? The first Metal Gear games. Yeah, no, yes, thank you. No, I know. Metal games were so successful that Kojima got full liberty. Yeah, never give them full liberty. They just go insane. And we saw how Death Stranding ended up. Yeah. So I think it's always better to have someone just basically being... Was that dust? Yeah, anyway, you need an editor. My editor and I went for that inspiration as our story plays with the same idea of dramatic unpredictability. He's completely acknowledging Lin's input on the manga, which is why I respect Fujimoto so much. Does the character of Togata, the crazy cinephile of Fire Punch, resemble you? I would say yes, but let's say. And Fujimoto says, not really. I mean, the love for cinema is there. What do you mean, not really? I feel closer to Agni or Denji from Chainsaw Man. I don't know how to react to that. I'm gonna feel bad for him now if that's what he really feels. I feel closer to Agni or Denji from Chainsaw Man, especially their masochistic tendencies. Yep. Fujimoto, if you're a sub, here is the dom for you. I fucking knew it. Haven't we said that before? That this man must be a sub. He likes the femme fatale. He likes domineering women. He said it. We have it here, black on white. It's He's an M. He's a sub. He's a masochist. Especially their masochistic tendencies. Which translates in their respective submission to insane female characters like Togata and Makima. I am assuming he put Togata there because he doesn't want to spoil anything about Chainsaw Man. Okay, that's why I'm assuming he put Togata there under insane female characters. But yeah, of course, when I said I feel bad for him if he identifies with Agni or Denji, that was an exaggeration. Of course, when you create characters, all of them have a facet of your personality in them, but translated and transformed to their situation in the story. So I don't think that Denji was Fujimoto was a neglected, abused child with an alcoholic father that he killed or whatever, or super traumatized. I'm not gonna assume anything. I don't know the man. But you shouldn't think that what Agni and Denji went through and how they process everything that they go through and how they react to it, that all of this you can translate onto Fujimoto. That's not what you should do. You should first see it the other way. Like, first see who Fujimoto is. His closest people, like people the closest to him are gonna know. And then they're gonna recognize aspects of his personality in Denji and Agni, for example, and see that it was translated to their situation. I'm saying this because Miura also said in an interview that his, like, Guts and Griffith's friendship and relationship in general, their characters, are inspired by his own friendship, childhood friendships. And people were like, oh, what the fuck kind of friend did he have? Was it a psychopath? No. Especially now, after his tragic passing, we know who he means. I mean, it was already implied or explicitly said once, but we got more insight into it. And we now know it wasn't anything destructive. Miura wanted to live with him and his wife, okay? Which I totally see the Griffith Guts Casca relationship here, like. But it wasn't. See, his relationship with his best friend and his wife was translated in a different way into Berserk. So people shouldn't go crazy about, oh my god, what the fuck kind of psychopathic friend does he have? Why, first of all, why are you assuming that he's completely Guts? Like, his personality is in both Griffith and Guts, and Casca probably. So that is already wrong that you associate him with Guts, and that you then think that his friend must have been like Griffith. No. It's just aspects of his personality, relationship with whoever is being put into the story and transformed to fit the setting of these characters. Kind of felt the Griffith Guts relationship was inspired from Devilman, but yeah, I read that interview. Yeah, I mean that too, of course, the dynamic, yes. But the because yeah, we know that it was inspired by that, but it also is unique to Berserk, and the uniqueness comes from the personal stuff that he incorporated in Berserk. For example, if love for cinema is present in all his works, wait, what? He wanted to be all with his friends, huh? No, I don't know. Anyway, okay, then the interview question is like, then your masochism fuels your characters? And he said, I don't necessarily want to reveal myself through them. This is what I mean. Simply, given the rhythm of publication, I can't think too much about their characterization. I go through the nearest psychological drawer available to give them some shape. but a part of myself and my characters is simultaneously a reflex and a need. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. That was poetic as fuck. Yes, Fujimoto. Yes. Fuck. Yes. Question. Do you have other particular methods of characterization? His answer. I draw inspiration from works that I love. For example, in Chainsaw Man, the characters of Power evokes Eric Cartman from South Park, a series that I adore. I also try to recapture with Denji Pochita the same relationship dynamic as Finn and Jake from Adventure Time. And this is also something that someone said. I don't see Cartman in Power. Yeah, that's the point. Cartman inspired him to write Power. Was transformed to fit the character in that setting. It's not an... Like... Power... Did you hear my stomach? Probably heard that. But, it's this way. Cartman, Fujimoto, the catalyst, Power. You can't look at Power and realize, oh, Cartman was at the beginning of this chain. No. And you can't go back with the chain. Like, see Power and then realize something about Fujimoto and then realize it was Eric Cartman. You can't do that. You probably wouldn't even have guessed if he hadn't said so. But if you know it, like now that he said, now you know where... you recognize that Power's absurdity and Eric Cartman's absurdity, they're there. They're just different, but that character inspired Fujimoto to write someone like that in his series. Just like Cartman was in South Park, he wanted to have a character like that in his series. Yeah, I don't know if I expressed myself correctly. I'm bad with words and I want to be a writer. The fuck? But I hope you get what I mean. True. He put some elements from Cartman and added him to his original character. He didn't make manga Cartman. Exactly, he didn't make a copy of Cartman. And that's the difference when you have something inspired by a character and having like an entire copy of the character. It's different. Like if it's different if you're referencing a character with your own character, and just having a character inspire your character. Oh, God, let's read the interview. I'm so bad at talking. Fujimoto here? Is Fujimoto in the room as we were speaking? What the hell are you all on about? Can you venture more about the bullshit on the Berserk, Elda? Wait, what? I will do that in a separate video that is about Berserk. Not in this Fujimoto video. It's interesting that you cite those two titles, as can be found in your work, the same tendency for absurdism. Yes, I expect that I'm not trying to abruptly change the turn of my story or break the rhythm by injecting humor. My change of tone comes first and foremost through the intervention of a disruptive character. It's the case, for example, for Togata, which from the point of their arrival in their story, brings that absurd touch which you talked about. Next question. What does humor bring to your story? I think it's great. It brings life into the story. It's so subtle. It's like in Attack on Titan. It's subtle, but it's there, and it feels natural. Anyway, it also makes it more human. Like, makes it more relatable. I heard Elda said if Fujimoto is a subscriber, I thought he is here. Wait, what? That'd be cool. I said, no, I never said Fujimoto is a subscriber. I don't think he'll ever see any of my videos or acknowledge them in any way, which is fine. I'd honestly also be kind of scared if he did, because I'm just saying so much shit. Just saying so much shit on my streams. And also, I also say a lot of problematic things on my streams, like when I bash Vagabond and people go insane over that. And now imagine if Fujimoto said, oh, he likes the channel some European chick, and people knew of this rant, this Vagabond rant. They're like, yo, so Fujimoto supports this bitch just bashing and shitting on Vagabond? Let's cancel Fujimoto. I do not want for that to happen. So even if he was a subscriber, or if he watched a video, or if he liked what I do, as I said, possibility is always there, but the probability is very low. But if I would never, for his sake, want him to say that. I'd never want him to mention my channel or promote my channel, because what I do, my words are mine alone. But people think when you mention someone else that you associate completely with that person. That you're completely behind them and what they do all the time, and that they're like completely your type of personality or reflect your views accurately. Which is why I also never say, like, I belong to this political affiliation, I belong to this type of fandom, because I don't want a fandom to represent me, and I don't want me to represent the fandom. Everyone could get a wrong image of me or the fandom if they thought one way or another about it. I'm just me, my words are just mine alone, I'm just Elda, I'm not this fan or this hater, that hater. But people, unfortunately, can't, they can't really separate those things. So, yeah, I wouldn't really want that for a creator that I really respect, admire, and love, to imply an association with my channel in whatever way, shape, or form for their sake. Because I can gush over Fujimoto all I want on my channel, right? And people who see that, they're gonna be like, oh, yeah, okay, this chick likes Fujimoto. But it doesn't say a lot about Fujimoto when someone like me likes Fujimoto. Or when, let's say, a completely unhinged person loves Fujimoto's works. It wouldn't say much about Fujimoto, right? Or his works. Like, it wouldn't be Fujimoto's fault that a completely unhinged person loved their works. So yeah. You could say a lot about that person, that unhinged person. Oh, that unhinged person loves Fujimoto. But you can't say anything about Fujimoto or his personality when an unhinged person says they love them. Whereas if it was the other way around, that would say a lot about the author. So I'm just fine gushing over Fujimoto and never being acknowledged. Yeah, okay. What does humor bring to your story? It allows me to destabilize the point of view that the reader initially has in my story. My reference in the matter is the Korean film The Wailing. Where's the comedy in The Wailing? That's a horror movie. But he is right that Korean movies manage to bring in, like, they weave in humor so intricately into the story. It feels like a break, but also very natural. Like, it gives you a more, how do you say, more realistic experience. Because even if you were in a super scary fucking scenario, something funny might be said or done. It's normal, you know? Like, I might, before I get my skull bashed in, I might just say before the impact, oh shit. And someone might find that funny, that these are my last words. Or I might just say, I don't know, you stinky poo-poo head, and then get my head bashed in just to get one absurdity out of myself. Anyway, something funny always might happen. So, when he also said The Wailing, I don't remember the humor of it. I don't remember it because it wasn't an integral part of the story. It was there, I imagine, because that's what Koreans usually do. They put several layers into their stories, like several aspects. There's humor, there's a type of suspense, then maybe mysticism, whatever. They have a lot of things going on. Humor is also always there. If you've seen Parasite just basically has it all. Parasite by Bong Joon-ho. It has humor, it has tragedy, it has a thriller, it has just everything. I've seen The Wailing. There is some subtle humor there, but for the most part is a serious thriller. Yeah, it is, which is what I wanted to say. It's not the defining aspect of the story. It's just woven into it to make it more palpable for the reader. Make it more realistic and relatable. I was about to call Elda mommy when I saw her today. You can't do that. Anyway, I'm not complaining. I'm glad I held that in. Not gonna lie, I said it myself too. You did, Epi? Give me a virtual high five, Epi. Every day is Mother's Day on some European chick. Yeah, okay, let's get back to the interview. The Wailing, in which the viewer ends up not knowing by which end he should follow this scenario because of how much the director throws red herrings and covers tracks. I tried to attain the same effect in Fire Punch, but in Chainsaw Man, I think I'll refrain myself because it could harm the global understanding of the manga. Next question. Do you talk with your editor about all those tonal preoccupations before getting to work? Oh, well, I hope he does. And now the editor is saying, before the Nemu phase, we always have a long, relaxed conversation, almost casual, during which we talk about... I haven't read Bakuman in a long time. I mean, I read it when I was 16, and then never again, so I don't remember all the phases of manga creation. So it's been 10 years since I read Bakuman. I really don't remember all the phases. I know there's the Name, that's like sketching out, but I don't remember what a Nemu phase is. We always have a long, relaxed conversation, almost casual, during which we talk about everything and nothing, everyday life films we have seen, mangas we have read, etc. It is during that exchange that ideas merge and fall into place. I think that is super fucking important because when I was studying for my exam, that was about antiquity, here in the Mediterranean area, basically. We didn't go global in this course, but when I was studying for that, Egypt was involved, right? And I read a familiar story about Osiris and how he was cut up and spread across Egypt, the god, and then had to be reassembled by his wife, and then became a god of the underworld. It was nothing new, but, reading this again gave me an idea for my own story. Like how to make things perfectly work in my story that I had no idea how to do. So I think you can find inspiration and ideas, and especially if you have discussions and like a feedback from another person and you give them feedback and so on, a discussion is really good. It's really good for a creative process. You can talk about anything. You can talk about doing the fucking dishes, and it could inspire you to do something. So my just reading something about Osiris helped me realize something for my own story. And likewise, when I talked to Akaketsugami about Chainsaw Man, for example, we realized some things we hadn't realized by ourselves. And when I talk in my Discord also about some manga and my thoughts on them, and I see their thoughts, and also, this is why I stream, when I see in the chat people react to what I say or give me their input, it helps me understanding what is going on and how to interpret things and what to comment on next or how to see the story and think how it's going to progress. So it's this feedback loop that's really important, and it can also inspire you. Like reading Chainsaw Man or watching a stream about someone reading Chainsaw Man can also give you a clue about your story that is not at all in the horror or fantasy genre. It's, let's say, romance set in this time. It can still give you a type of input for your own endeavors, or be it, I don't know, let's say you're writing lyrics for a song or whatever you do, okay? It's a good thing for the creative process in general, whatever your creation might be about. Epi saying, I got an idea for my story when I ate a whole watermelon myself. So okay, yeah. Anyway, I think talking to people, discussing, is super important for a creative process, which is why I don't vibe with Inoa's outlook on not doing that with his editors or whoever in his life. Just doing everything by himself. You're limiting yourself. I think talking to people, like interacting with people, getting their points of view on whatever topic it is, but especially your story, of course, it can set free your true potential as a creator. So I think it's only advantages if you have an editor, or just people who you can talk to about things. Which is why I also didn't vibe with Vagabond, I'm sorry, but there was just nothing in it. It felt so empty to me. Vagabond, just truly, the first 6-7 volumes that I read felt so empty to me. And devoid of any creativity. And not just because it was a biography. Like, it felt also empty from a human standpoint, from a heart standpoint. It felt really empty. Didn't give me anything. A lot of people will disagree, and that's their right. I don't want to take away from your enjoyment or your experience within a work that you consumed. Just telling you what my experience with that work is. Anyway, yeah, it gives a different perspective that you didn't think about before. I guess some creators think too high of themselves, yeah, and never take anyone's opinion seriously. Yeah, it's a shame, because they could be so much more. They could create so much better, greater things if they just talked and listened. The editor is answering... Still, before the Nemo phase, we always have a long, relaxed conversation, almost casual, during which we talk about everything and nothing. Everyday life, films we have seen, mangas we have read. It is during that exchange that ideas emerge and fall into place. And from that intuitive brainstorming, see, this is what I said too, it's brainstorming. Fujimoto Sensei thinks of a story and submits his Nemu. I give back my feelings and we start working the story in more depth. It's a team effort. I was still on chapter 3 of 4 on Vagabond, and the manga didn't hook me to it, but I love Inoue's art style, as always. Yeah, the art style, yeah. But you can look at art without having a manga, you know? He has an art book, just buy the art book then, if you like his art. Just saying. You don't need to read Vagabond to enjoy his art. You need to read Vagabond to enjoy the content, you know? And if you don't vibe with the content, then... I don't think praising the art does anything for the manga. It's a decoration. It's like saying, what do you think of your sister-in-law? And you're saying, I like her dress. Yeah, but what do you think of her? I don't care that you like her dress. Yeah, but she's pretty. Okay, she's pretty, but what do you think of her as a person? Like, what's going on here and here? Like, what do you think of your sister-in-law? I don't know, her hair was fine. Okay, thank you. Like that's the feeling I get when people like praise the art of Vagabond and say that is like the crutch. Like, okay, good for you. These people are, yeah, never take anyone's opinion seriously. These people are the hardest to work with, yeah, because they're loose cannons, yeah. Yeah, I am bashing the new Doctor Strange movie on every corner of the internet. Everyone's like, oh, so good visuals, and reading my review makes them hate it. Good. That's how you know you actually talked about your sister-in-law and not about her dress. Okay. I like when Ella does this, always cracks me up. When I do what? But I'm glad I can make you laugh. What did I want to say? Anyway, maybe they're like this because they have started on their own and think their creation is like their own child and only they have the sole responsibility, yeah, to raise it right and can't handle other people interfering with it. Yeah, and that's a problematic view in my opinion. Like, of course, yeah, you can do that, and it would be a purely manifestation of you and your feelings of that moment. But it would not be a representation of your potential and your thought process as a human being to any situation, like every situation, just your feelings and thoughts at that moment. It's, I mean, good for you if you see it as like a therapy for yourself, yeah. But from a writer's perspective, like from a writing perspective, that's not the way to go, in my opinion. Sure, you can have, like, as I said, a therapy session on paper. That's good. But usually, yeah, when you want to create a story, you I don't know, discuss it and have feedback and have it be like a team effort because you're creating a product for others to read. The sister-in-law bit is so hilarious. I'm imagining the guy does not want to say she's dumb, ugly, and complimenting random stuff. The other guy is say it, motherfucker, say it. Yeah. Yeah, that's basically me with Vagabond. I don't care that the art is so detailed. That's the least. If the story is good, it can be drawn like one. You know, the creator of One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100. The art style doesn't matter. The content matters. If I want art, I'm gonna look at art, like drawings. If I want a story, I'm gonna read manga, watch movies, read books, and so on. Like, a purpose of a medium needs to be fulfilled. I don't care about the art of Vagabond if whatever else it's delivering is not my thing. I think both ways are okay as long as they satisfy the means. I think you just said, I think both means are okay as long as they satisfy the means, which I don't quite understand. Yeah. It's like saying I read a book the other day. Oh yeah, how was it? The cover and page quality was good. Yeah, I like the smell of it. I like the smell of books, so I read this. But yeah, but then you could have just picked up any book. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. Let's go back to the interview. Yeah, this is a long stream. I'm sorry about that. Was the symbolical dimension... Wait, what? Was the symbolical dimension of the characters' names in Fire Punch present from the first drafts? I probably mean the name Agni and so on. No, it came later, but you know, I don't grant too much importance to this symbolism. A name is a name. As an example, if I choose to give a biblical name to a character, that doesn't mean he will end up like in the text. True. Yeah. Agni could have just been called George. It kind of would have been funny. He could have been called Udo. Togata could have been an Olga. It doesn't matter. I hate when people say they hate the series if it's the visual doesn't met the requirement. Wait, what? Yeah, exactly. Same. Some people want their stories to be read and people to enjoy it, so they would gladly take an extra help from other people in order to achieve that. Yeah. And yeah, I agree, Kasapyank. I hate when people say they hate the series if the visual doesn't meet their requirements. Yeah, same. Because that's just superficial. That's it. But others want to make some purely personal, something that would satisfy them first and foremost, and the audience isn't a big deal to them. Yes, I agree to that. Pana Jyotis 1990. I agree with that, and a perfect example would be Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion, the series from 1995. That's the perfect example. Agni literally means fire in Indian language. Yes, I know. It's also the god of fire in Hinduism. For example, Matrix 4 felt like a purely personal product. I haven't watched that one. I watched... There's a fourth one? Maybe I knew but forgot about it. But the first one I liked, and the second and third one were like, the hell is going on? But the fourth one I'd have to watch. Getting back to the interview. The question, spoiler for Fire Punch. In Volume 6, you make Agni lose his flames and your story takes an intimate, very surprising twist. Why such a dramatic turn? Why the fuck not? That's when it... Like, it's good from the start, but that's when it gets just so heartbreaking. I think it's because of Togata's death. Yeah, okay, this is spoilers. Fucking hell. I think it's because of Togata's death. She gave the feminine, emotional tone of the story, and after her disappearance, Agni was left with only despair. Naturally, the story went in a more melancholic direction because of it, I think. Yeah, that was his spoiler end! The last chapters of Fire Punch convene a metaphysical spirit close to 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. I still need to watch it. I started it twice or so and always kind of didn't finish it. I don't know why. What were your intentions with this conclusion? Indeed, I had 2001 in mind, but also the end of the TV series Evangelion. And I fucking knew it because there's an apocalyptic scenario, yeah. And also an intimate scenario because Shinji was always intimate with this godlike creature, Super Ray, or whatever it is. It's also like a motherly figure. This god that Shinji is always in touch with but doesn't even realize. It's something you wouldn't expect because why would a god want to be so intimate with this person specifically? And it doesn't matter. Anyway, you have that touch in Fire Punch. So I guess spoiler, sorry. Spoiler still in progress. You have that in Fire Punch too, the ending. It's an apocalyptic scenario that also reminded me of Evangelion because of that intimate aspect of it. It wasn't just the world is going to shit. It's people, specific people, coming together to be like a unity and have an intimate moment with a superior concept, like and superior to humankind concept. I read your Matrix comments, by the way, Pana Jyotis. I'm just going to continue with the interview now. But also the end of the TV series Evangelion, where we see Shinji in front of a table eating when outside matters of life and death of humanity are taking place. I think I want to express my relation to space and cinema in the same manner. Next question. You evoked Evangelion, a series which became the source of many interpretations, often wrong. In Fire Punch, when you are having fun giving pseudo-symbolic names to your characters, you're like Hideaki Anno, manipulating potentially cryptic concepts just for the form. The fuck was this interviewer on? What? You evoked Evangelion, a series which became the source of many interpretations, often wrong. In Fire Punch, when you're having fun giving pseudo-symbolic names. Pseudo-symbolic, I mean, Agni is burning, that's why fire, like, the name for fire is fitting. It's not pseudo-symbolic, it's just name association. It's a common practice. It's a normal thing. In Fire Punch, when you're having fun giving pseudo-symbolic names to your characters, you're like Hideaki Anno, manipulating potentially cryptic concepts just for the form. That seems too superficial. I mean, I know where they're coming from, this interviewer. I know where they're coming from. Because Anno did do that. He was like, let's like spontaneously do this here, and this seems super cool, but it's still in line with the story. It's still in line with the existential messages of the story. And sometimes, like, what you go... Now, this is going to sound very Jungian, like Jungian psychology. Carl Jung is saying that... he's not saying, but I'm just saying now and why it's going to sound Jungian. But as I said, Evangelion was a very personal project to Anno. So whatever he did basically, it came forth from what he was thinking back then, what he was going through back then. He was processing everything through this anime that he was creating. So it was a very personal thing. And whatever symbolism he combined with Christianity or Kabbalah or whatever, it still came from within him. It was still born from his emotional, psychological thing that he was going through. And he was using archetypical symbols here and there, maybe without, thinking too much about it. But things don't need to be planned out completely. You can do it intuitively. Now my aunt is calling me. I'm sorry about that. Hallo? Hallo, Steimer. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, something can be intuitive. Like, you play with the symbolism and with religion and whatever, but it's still gonna reflect the main soul of the series. That's, I guess, what I wanted to say. And I need my phone. Why the fuck did I put it away? Continuing with the interview. Oh, first reading. Pseudo-symbolism is, for example, the Christian symbolism in Evangelion. It's still necessary because it's still playing with the biblical elements, Yeah, sure, he could have called all the creatures and events something else. And he could have designed certain things in a non-recognizable way, as non-recognizable as Christian. But the nod to Christianity, it's not pseudo-symbolism. It fits. Like, it makes sense that is a robot that you made out of DNA from an alien to fight that alien, it's okay that you call it the rib of Adam and then you call them Evas. It makes sense. Like, you can call it symbolism, but it's really, it's referencing biblical things and maybe transforming them into something new. But I wouldn't call it pseudo-symbolism. Maybe, yeah, okay, when the angels explode into crosses, yeah, okay. And that's, there is some pseudo-symbolism, but when it's still in line with the theme, and when the soul of the series is still there, then I don't think you can say that just doing it for the form is the correct way to interpret it, but that's just me, perhaps. Is we a French interview? It is a French interview. Off topic, but damn, you're pretty today. Thank you. Just for the form, and Fujimoto is answering to that. Yes, I'm trying to reach the effect. I'll always remember the opening of Evangelion, during which appears for a moment the Tree of Life, and which led numerous viewers thinking deep and mystical things were going on. Then in reality, this tree has no connection to the story. But it kind of does. Like, maybe these people don't know it, but it does. Like, maybe while you're doing it, you don't realize it. Yeah, of course, maybe some, like this Sephiroth maybe didn't make much sense there. I don't know. But it's still a nod towards, biblical themes. Like, hey, I'm gonna combine my soul searching with the biblical soul searching. And that's fine. And it still makes sense, like the Tree of Life. It's still in line. Anyway, I think the main themes are about depression and acceptance and Christian symbols. They don't integrate well with the main themes. They're like their own thing slapped in the series. That's what I believe, though. I don't think so, because the biblical soul searching and trying to explain the world is one thing that happened many thousands of years ago. And there's this one man, Anno, who's doing it thousands of years later, doing his own soul searching. Like, you have this global phenomenon of a religion doing the soul searching in groups and organizing and even institutionalizing, with the church and for example. And then there's one person who is outside of it and doing the same thing but alone. Like, you have a collective part. Like, the Christian symbolism is about the collective soul searching, and the other themes, like the personal depression, like the very intimate personal things that you see as diving into Anno's head, basically, at the time. That's the individual doing the soul searching and trying to figure things out all by themselves and alone. And you have that with Shinji. He's pretty alone in this world, but also this overarching theme of this human instrumentality project where all humans come together to fulfill a purpose. And then you have one individual trying to find their purpose. So it still, I think it still fits. Like the biblical symbolism and the very intimate story born out of Anno's experiences. I think it still fits. And I like that combination of having, like, and you have that in Fire Punch too, which is what I loved. You don't just have Agni and then Luna hugging in space. It's not just about them coming together, because Fujimoto has this overarching concept that you also see in his stories about opposites coming together as a whole. And they're not special for a specific reason, these characters that come together as a whole. They represent bigger concepts too. So it's not just about the intimate part that came directly from a creator, but also connecting it to something bigger overarching that others can recognize from their experiences with, as I said, collective soul searching. So it makes sense to me. Kindred Spirit is saying, "Hi, just discovered your channel, and any fan of Chainsaw Man is an instant sub for me." Oh, thank you. Thank you, that's so nice. I think you just combined the concept of complete unity with Christianity. I could go on and on about this, but let's continue reading. Epi, I feel that Fujimoto is being himself. One cannot just randomly write something. These things have meaning and a lot of agency in the series. I have no idea what you mean, Epi. Either the meaning is so vast, it's better to say, yeah, it's nothing, or he does not want to make the topic about it now. Oh, okay, that's what you mean. Okay, that's what you mean. I don't know, but if you read one of his interviews, he mentioned how certain symbols he thought about to tie in at the end, but some are just left vague. Yeah, because that's the point of symbols. You have one thing that can mean a lot of different things. So you can write the second season easier. There wasn't a second season. But, yeah, this is usual. Like, when I think of some symbolism, like, I thought about my story and some characters, and on the surface, I just thought of the characters and what they're gonna do and what they're gonna say at some parts. But when I, take a step back, and I think like, okay, what would someone who's a critic or someone, let's say an anituber and this was an anime, what would they say about this part? How would they interpret this part? And I realized that there's a lot of symbolism that I incorporated in the story or the characters that I didn't even think of actively while I was sketching up, like taking notes on what to do with the story or the characters. Only when I take a step back and I pretend like I'm an outside person, I'm just seeing this for the first time, how would I interpret it? I came up with several interpretations for the same thing. Like, that things symbolize several different things at once. And they can either contradict themselves or go hand in hand. And I think that's totally fine as a creator, you do that, yeah. And some might think, oh, that's just random, like put in at the end there, but like, no, it was there from the beginning, but you didn't realize it. That's what I wanted to say. It was there from the beginning, but you didn't realize it. Shin Godzilla was pretty cool though. The guy still got it. Shin Godzilla, I love that movie. Yeah. And that's nice. Thanks for that. Somehow that looks like my traditional language. Yeah, anyway. Reading. Yes, I'm trying to reach the effect. Oh yeah, okay, the Tree of Life, no connection to the story. That's what you think. And that's maybe what Hideaki Anno said, but it doesn't matter what he says. If it's there, it's there. Like, maybe you have a mole somewhere on the back, or on your eyelid, or whatever, or behind your ear, and you don't see it, but others see it. And you can say however you want that you don't have anything on your back or whatever. But when others see it, it's there. How did the transition between Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man go? Fujimoto. When I was drawing Fire Punch, I already had in mind the idea of a character endowed with a wire on his chest, allowing him, every time he pulled it, to make a chainsaw pop out of his head. It was only a simple visual concept. I had yet to find a narrative around it. Is this a miracle I caught you live? Well, hello. Congratulations for catching me live. That kind of explanation reminds me of Earthbound's ending. No idea about that. I set notifications, but I wasn't notified of your being live, and you're 2 hours in. That's a shame. I don't know why YouTube is doing that. But yeah, let's go on. I don't know why YouTube is doing that, to be honest. That's why I say, if you go to my Discord server, you're gonna be notified on time, every time, and that I'm live on Twitch and YouTube. Some people say it was a space abortion due to symbolism, but the official response is that the ending is not like that. Okay. R. Lee Verrett is an amazing artist, by the way. Check his work out. I'm gonna check that out later on. Thank you for the link. Thank you for shouting them out. And yeah, again, thank you for joining the stream. But that applies to everyone. Have you immediately talked about this idea to your editor? I talked to him, yes, and we evoked many configurations of different stories, always with a chainsaw man at the heart of the search. But my editor was still a bit concerned because he couldn't see my character as a potential hero. For him, Chainsaw Man could be the villain of the story, but not the principal protagonist. Therefore, he has been against the idea of this manga for a long time, also because he thought the hero would always have his chainsaw flanked in the middle of his head. And that's when he worked around the idea of a transformation that his opinion changed. Out of topic question, you play dart, Elda, because of that thing behind you, or archery? I said that in a lot of streams already, but I'm gonna repeat it. I have like a rubber dick that children love to play with. They used to throw it at my wall and just take, every time they ripped the rubber dick off the wall, it took a piece of wall with them. So I put on a dart target and told them, make a game out of it, and this is paper, so when they rip it off, it's not going to take a piece of the wall with it. So yeah. I have a question. What is the difference between a king and his horse? Glad to be here. Thank you. My throat is starting to hurt. Fujimoto's relationship with his editor is the embodiment of we do a little trolling. Yeah. It might kill your stream. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, let's go. We don't have that much left, and then I need to call back my aunt. To the editor, Chainsaw Man is published in Jump. How is the revival of Tatsuki Fujimoto in the weekly magazine envisioned, planned? And the editor? At my level, I went from editor in Jump Plus to Jump, so I had the opportunity to organize a transfer of Fujimoto Sensei from one magazine to the other. It's also because I had faith in his work. On Fire Punch, that we judged him capable of holding a weekly series, because to withstand that rate, you've got to have energy, and energy is not eternal. Whoa. And then to Fujimoto, so is it hard? Fujimoto saying, it's alright, I don't sleep much. It's so fucking sad. It's alright. I don't sleep much, but it's not what's bothering me the most. In fact, what really brings me down is not being able to see films in theaters the first day of release. This pains me terribly, so instead, I wait patiently for them to be released on streaming platforms. Poor man. Question, has working in a just-in-time environment brought you a different creative energy? More spontaneous, for example. And Fujimoto is saying, it's true that it may have affected my work. I don't have any particular wishes in terms of rate or publication. Weekly or monthly, it doesn't really matter, as long as I have the possibility to draw. So he doesn't want to break, okay. I don't sleep much, pretty much all mangaka. Yeah. You seem to take a lot of fun in drawing double pages, especially action ones. And he's saying, I haven't really felt that on Fire Punch, however, in Chainsaw Man, I take a lot of pleasure in drawing the eyes of my characters during fighting scenes. I try to take my time on this aspect and to always improve them. Question, and what do you struggle with the most? Fujimoto, find better postures for my characters when they fight each other. He probably means poses, this translator. I always seek visual impact, the badass detail that does the difference in the eyes of the reader. I struggle with composition. I think about it a lot without finding a good graphic answer. Sometimes I watch action movies to find solutions, but succeeding in translating the idea of movement from cinema to drawing is very, very complicated. To the editor, According to you, what is the difference between Fujimoto and the other young authors currently being published in Jump? He can't badmouth anyone and can make Fujimoto seem more special than anyone else, so let's see how he's gonna word it. In the pool of new mangaka of the zine, most have a tendency to go back to zero when they are asked to adjust their nemu. Fujimoto Sensei knows how to adapt and bounce back. His ability to take remarks into account and to rapidly change all that needed to be changed, no matter how many there are, makes him a different author than the rest. Okay, so he did emphasize his specialness. What does digital drawing add to your work? The great strength of the digital format is the possibility to correct your drawings as many times as necessary until you find the perfect line. And with the current tablets, you can feel sensations similar to the real thing. I don't have any nostalgia for the paper and pen. Good. What are the limits you ought not to pass when published in Jump? Surprisingly, as with Fire Punch, I can draw pretty much everything I want. Well, I bypass certain interdictions with special tricks, like drawing zombies' guts instead of human guts, which isn't allowed. But except that, I'm very fine. I think he meant that he is drawing like just the... He's not drawing all the organs, he's just drawing the guts. Do you think in terms of target audience, like Shonen with Chainsaw Man, or do you simply tell the story you have in mind without thinking about the age limit to your readers, of your readers? And Fujimoto says, if I had a target audience, I probably wouldn't be drawing Chainsaw Man that way. Like I said at the beginning of this interview, I have the feeling that what I am proposing to Jump today is completely abnormal. Did you watch the new Hosoda movie called Belle? Nope. Yeah, digital drawing is 10 times more complicated but more convenient than traditional art, yeah. Do you take readers' polls into account? I hope not. I hope not. And he's saying, as for now, no. Oh, good. Even if I know they have a determining influence on the future of a series, as long as I'm not directly concerned, I turn my eyes away. But if Chainsaw Man is put in question, I'll follow through. Do you read readers' feedbacks on the net? I don't. I prefer to stay away from it. Good. Where I'm too scared to be influenced in my work, yeah. But influenced the other way around, for example, if on a forum or social media someone said that my character should be going right, well, automatically I'll make it go left. Good. Considering the concept of Chainsaw Man, yeah, like I'm the same. Like maybe I plan to do the dishes, but now that my mom said do the dishes now, I don't want to do it. No. Because you said it, I don't want to do it now. Maybe that's like a psychological thing. Considering the concept of Chainsaw Man has popped into your mind when you were drawing Fire Punch, are the early stages of a future series developing in your head as you are drawing Chainsaw Man? Fujimoto is laughing. I have some ideas, yes. In particular, I have a story that would start as a romantic comedy in which there would be, at the beginning, several heroines, but only one of them manages to find love. Disheartened, the other girls would commit suicide and come back as evil spirits materialized to haunt the everyday life of the one that managed to find a boyfriend. Do you like it? And that's where the interview ends. Okay. Okay. Well, this is it for today. We got a lot of insight into how this man thinks, and yeah, those were 9 pages. I don't know, there's just so many interviews. This is gonna take 2 or 3 streams. I'm sorry about that, but I want to follow through so I can also make review and analysis videos on my channel. So I script something, like I review a series that I read or a medium I consumed. I script it, I read it out, and I put that video on my channel. And I definitely want to know like the backstage part of that creation process. So I definitely want to go through the interviews, so that I can make my review or analysis videos on Chainsaw Man, Look Back, Goodbye Eddie, and Fire Punch. I want to do that. I want to do that with every series if possible on my channel. So yeah, that's why I really want to go through with the videos. I'm sorry that it's gonna be the next 2-3 weeks. It's Mondays are not gonna be Chainsaw Mondays anymore. They're not gonna be Fire Punch Mondays. They're just gonna be Fujimoto interview Mondays. But I need to do that. But yeah. Sounds very counter to how Isayama seems to have handled the ending of Attack on Titan. Apologies for anyone who might not have finished the Attack on Titan manga. More streams, more streams, more streams. No apologies needed. More content is better. Okay. Nice. Nice. Good luck for your next stream. Thank you. Excited to encounter more of your content and how you evolve your techniques. Well, thank you. Thank you. I think staying faithful to your schedule is better than pumping content and wearing yourself out. Yeah. More consistent content is supposedly more traffic. Read Hell's Paradise. Perhaps I will. I don't know. It's not on my list for now. There's like 70 other titles on my list that will come before I read Hell's Paradise, so even if I put it on my list, it's gonna take a while until I come to it. I think for now 2 streams per week is fine. Well, I do 8 streams per week. For 8 manga, basically. But yeah, maybe I should cut down on that. I should maybe slow down. Maybe it is a little lot for me. But yeah, okay, this is it. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed yourselves or learned something about Fujimoto. And more interviews next Monday. It's good to be back. But this is it for today. So I wish you a nice day, evening, or night, wherever you are. And bye-bye.